This is a story about my friend John Steepleton, who I miss a lot. John passed away recently in the last couple of years. And I want to talk about John in the context of this story about just passing through. We're all just passing through. And I'll start this one at the sort of highest level here about where we are. If you're watching this now, you hear my voice in some way, you're on a rock in space. A new rock is called Spaceship Earth. And on this spaceship is everything that you need to survive. There's air, which has oxygen. That's lucky. There's water that exists in three phases: a solid, a liquid, and a gas. That's lucky. There's energy from the sun stored as sugar that gets converted into all other energy. That's lucky. There's old star rocks on our planet from stars that blew up, supernova, and that has energy. And uranium, we can use that energy from old stars to power things here. That's lucky. The temperature range on our planet is perfect for living things that we know about anyway, because of that water cycle, because water can exist in those three phases in this temperature range. Lucky, lots of lucky things. And we're alive for now. And there was a period of time we were unalive. And there'll be a period of time again that we'll be unalive. And we're all just passing through. We're passing through existence. But in a more practical sense, we're passing through space and time. So if you hear my voice, you're traveling at a speed of 19 miles per second around a star on this spaceship. And that star's keeping you alive. And everyone you ever met is powered by that star. Everyone who ever lived is powered by that star. Everyone who will ever live, at least in this solar system, will be powered by that star. And that's part of the invisible game. And I want to talk about a story about my friend John. So my friend John, I met at Burning Man in 2007. And we met in a geodesic dome. And so the story was I showed up at Burning Man and we have a friend in common. And he introduced me to John. And he had built a geodesic dome called the Oasis for the harsh conditions of Burning Man. And I love geodesic domes. And I had just before this was in 2007, summer of 2007, August. And just before this, I had gone to Peru and I had visualized this geodesic dome structure for what's now part of the strategy architecture of this project. And I already knew that structure, but not as a geodesic. I just reorganized it that way in Peru. And so I was in a dome. And I love domes. I thought it was cool. And I just met John. And he was cool because he liked to play the way I like to play. He was a great pirate. And he was a complete individual person with no games. He was just a purely individualistic person. And he had great logic. I could never beat him in logical arguments. I didn't always agree with him, but his logic was sound. And the reason he's such an important part in my life, I guess, as it relates to this story and in life in general, is in this geodesic dome, the Oasis. When I first met him, after a couple hours of just messing around at Burning Man, he handed me some magic markers that he brought inside the dome. And he asked me to draw my message to the world. And I just met him. And nobody really asked me things like that. And maybe nobody asked other people things like that. Like, I don't know. It was not in my life. And I thought, I'm going to tell this guy what I'm up to. And I've been keeping my ideas to myself for the most part. Or I guess I should say, I've been experimenting with explaining certain things to certain people to see if they understood it and how I could improve my explanation. But John was the first person who asked me that question, my message to the world and what I was going to do with my life inside a geodesic dome in the middle of a desert at Burning Man, and handed me some magic markers. And I drew the nodes on the Dome of Dreams, the diagram of the business side of what I understood at that time of I was going to create money using this business structure, and I was going to use that money to launch a global eco project when I was ready in my 50s. I told him that in 2007. And he smiled and he said, I know you will. And I guess for me, that was an important moment because that was the first time anyone asked me a question like that. Anytime anyone was interested in what I had to say. And the first time that someone completely knew, and for no reason other than his own intuition and self-awareness, told me that he knew I would do it. And that was special for me, my life. And John and I were good friends from then, 2007, up until he passed away a couple years ago. And I had just visited him a few months before. He lived in Colorado, outside Durango. And I visited him, and he, knew what I was, gonna do. He was very excited about this project and about sort of, starting finally after all these years. And one of the things that I told him we were going to do for this project, I was going to create a YouTube channel. He liked the movie Fight Club. He had a lot of Fight Club quotes with Brad Pitt. And I told him that he could be the Tyler Durden of Talk Club, which was something I was going to make about this project. It was just hilarious. I miss him a lot. And I guess it's not really until someone who's special in your life passes away that you can really fully grasp the fleeting nature of life. And my birthday's coming up in December, and I have a spreadsheet that I update, which I'll put below. And the spreadsheet shows things like how many miles I've traveled around the sun so far. And I plan to die at 92 based on conversations with my dad about planning for money that I had with him when I was 14 in 1984. And so I know how many miles I've traveled, but how many miles I plan to have left. And I update this every birthday and look at the percentages and think, am I doing what I want? Am I happy? I only have less than half to go based on my plan. And how could I add the most value to the world as I'm on my way through space and time? How could I be useful, or at least not harmful, and put back, undo my carbon footprint, and try to scale these ideas to help out as I'm passing through. So if you're listening to this story, thanks for passing through space and time with me on this video series. I appreciate it, and hope to see you around the campfire.